You ever wonder how a massive global company knows what's happening in its business, like right now? Well, it's not magic. It's all about a revolutionary kind of database. And today, we're going to dive into the story of the tech that pretty much made the hard drive obsolete for big business analytics.
But first, let me ask you something. You know that feeling when you're just stuck, waiting for a report or a dashboard to load? It's annoying, right? Well, now imagine that wait time could cost your company millions of dollars. That really brings us to the core question here. Why on earth should anyone have to wait overnight for data they desperately need right now?
Okay, let's paint a picture. It's Black Friday, right? The biggest sales day of the year. You're running this huge global retail empire, and you've got to make a massive pricing decision based on sales that happened like 10 minutes ago. So you click Generate Report, and what do you get? The spinning wheel of death. That data? Yeah, it won't be ready for hours. And this isn't some made-up scenario. For a long, long time, this was the painful reality for big business.
And this whole situation, this leads us directly to what we can call the overnight wait problem. Seriously, it was the single biggest bottleneck stopping businesses from being able to make decisions based on what was happening in real time.
So, why the long wait? Well, the traditional databases just weren't built for this kind of speed, not at this scale. If you wanted to ask a really complex question, something like, hey, what are our total sales across all of Europe right now? The system had to run these enormous calculations called batch jobs. And these jobs were so demanding, so intense, they could only be run overnight when the main system wasn't busy. And then along came the solution, SAP HANA. Now, the full name is High Performance Analytic Appliance, which is a mouthful. But what's really important to get is its core design. It's an in-memory, column-oriented relational database. And look, every single part of it was built from the ground up with just one purpose in mind: pure, insane speed.
All right, so how exactly does it achieve that mind-blowing speed? Let's break it down, starting with its first superpower, running completely in memory.
Okay, here's the fundamental idea. For forever, basically, databases stored all their information on old-school spinning hard drives. To get an answer to a question, the computer had to literally go on a trip to the disk to find the data. Think of it like searching for one specific file in a gigantic warehouse-sized filing cabinet. It's slow. HANA's approach? Just forget the cabinet exists. Instead, it loads the entire database straight into the computer's short-term memory, the RAM. Suddenly, it's like having the exact page you need on a clipboard, right in your hand. No searching, just there.
And the difference in speed here is just staggering. Accessing data from RAM is about 100,000 times faster than reading it from a traditional disk. I mean, let that sink in. 100,000 times. This isn't just a small improvement, it's a completely different universe. So what does this actually mean in the real world? Well, we're talking about business reports that used to take, say, 3 hours to run, now completing in 3 seconds. And the real game changer here is that this unlocks the ability to ask questions and get answers during a meeting, not waiting until the next day.
But just putting everything in memory is only half the battle, right? You also have to organize all that data in a really smart way. And that brings us to HANA's second superpower. It's clever columnar storage. So, check this out. Most databases you've ever used store data in rows. If you look at this table and all you want to do is calculate the total sales revenue, a traditional database has to read everything in each row. It reads the name, the age, the address, all just to get to that one little price number at the end. It is just so inefficient. But HANA, it completely flips this on its head because it's column-oriented. So when you ask that same question, what are the total sales, it reads only the price column. It completely ignores all the other junk it doesn't need. It only touches the exact information required to answer the question. That's it. And the result? It's not just about speed, it's about incredible efficiency. This whole approach leads to aggressively fast analytical queries. It allows for massive data compression because all the similar data is stored together. And, like we just saw, it intelligently ignores any data that isn't needed. Simple as out. Okay, so you've got the incredible in-memory speed, and you've got the super smart columnar efficiency. When you combine these two superpowers, you unlock something that people in the industry basically considered the holy grail of database engineering, something called HTAP. See, back in the day, companies had to have two completely separate databases. They had one system called an OLTP system that just handled the day-to-day transactions, recording a sale, updating inventory. Then they had a totally different system, an OAP system, which was basically a giant data warehouse for running the big analytical reports. And all day, data was being copied from one to the other, which meant it was always duplicated and never ever truly real time. While HTAP stands for Hybrid Transactional and Analytical Processing. And what it means is you have a single database that is so ridiculously fast and efficient, it can do both of those jobs at the exact same time. It can be recording millions of new sales transactions while simultaneously you're running complex analytics on that exact same data, in real time. What this means is you go from two complicated, out-of-sync systems to just one system, one single copy of your data, and that gives you a single source of real-time, undeniable truth about what's happening in your business. So, when you put this all together, what does it actually mean in the real world? It means that HANA becomes way more than just a database. It becomes the central nervous system for an entire enterprise. Now let's be super clear about something. This isn't the kind of thing you'd use for your personal blog or a little to-do list app. No way. HANA is an enterprise beast. It runs on these enormous, incredibly expensive servers that are just packed with terabytes and terabytes of RAM. This technology is built for the absolute biggest and most complex organizations on the planet. I want you to think about what it takes to manage a global supply chain for a company like Porsche, or processing millions of financial transactions every minute for a major international bank, or running an entire automotive manufacturing line. These are the kinds of absolutely mission-critical tasks that run on HANA. And that's why that nervous system metaphor is so perfect. It's not just sitting there storing data. It's the core system that senses every single transaction, processes every query, and allows the entire organization to react instantly. It really is, quite literally, the central nervous system of the enterprise. So we'll leave you with this one final thought. You know how people are always saying data is the new oil? Well, that's true, but crude oil is pretty useless until you refine it. Technologies like SAP HANA have basically made that refining process instantaneous. So the real question to think about is this: what becomes possible when you can turn raw, messy data into priceless, actionable insight in just a matter of seconds?